I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Boy, all that like Kenny. Still got crack, they fiendin'. Flow still hot like Phoenix. Shine so bright, I'm gleaming. This off top, I'm tweaking. Fresh out the rat like Neiman. And I'm still trying to fight my demons. Cause we all gotta act like Tina. That's why I gotta ride with the Nina.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Breaking Bet here on this Wednesday, May 24th, an impromptu betting show with my guy, Matt Grissom, covering all of the conference games. It's conference tournament season, Matt. We're in postseason play. This is the best time of the year for college baseball.
It's wake up, coffee, baseball. Love it.
Do you drink coffee?
No, I drink energy drinks, but nobody likes to say that, so I just say coffee.
Yeah,
that is my coffee.
I'm a big espresso guy. I like espresso martinis.
I just got put on espresso martinis. Legacy Club at Circa, they make a perfect espresso martini. But we got baseball. I mean, I'm still sleepy, and I'm watching baseball right now.
It's good. South Carolina LSU right now. We couldn't start earlier to talk about that game. That's probably the best game of the day. So before we get into the games that haven't started yet, what was your – and I haven't even seen anything yet. I'm not even watching it right now. But what was your handicap coming into this Gamecock-Tiger game this morning?
I really struggled to find anything I just loved. I did see Saracen in Arkansas. They hung a 13.5 line. It was a little juiced, minus 125. But ultimately, I felt like that was a smart play. Every game yesterday went under. I feel like it's hard to get it out of this ballpark. And Thatcher Hurd's got to show up if LSU is going to win this game. And I like Eli Jones. I think he's a solid pitcher. So I feel like each pitcher will probably go 5-6 innings maybe and keep this thing pretty low scoring.
I think ultimately you were on the right side with the 13.5. Last night, the totals didn't come out when I gave it out. So I typically don't like to do two plays in the same game. It's very difficult in this sport to try and line up a total and a side in the same contest. You have to have a real good feeling about it. And there's always the thoughts that maybe this could be a higher scoring matchup, even though it's unlikely. It depends what's going on with the weather. Hoover's been really bad. Like, tell me if you've heard that before, that it's bad weather in Hoover. It's hard to get that ball out. Jace Lavalette, he turned into one. That's the only ball that left the yard yesterday, along with Andrew Pinckney and Cole Foster in Hoover. But I think – for me, I liked South Carolina today because we're not in an elimination game. This is now double elim, and a loss isn't the end of the world. And the fact is, Eli Jones, he's been pretty solid this year. And Thatcher Hurd's had a lot of struggles. Like, Hurd's been succeeding more out of the bullpen as of late, which still, to me, isn't even qualified as true success. So I think here LSU, as good as they are and as it makes sense for them to win this one, I feel like South Carolina at plus money is the right side because tomorrow I'm going to turn around and bet LSU with Paul Skeens on the mound. And I think that's the strategy. LSU is definitely going to take tomorrow's game.
Yeah, that's tough because Paul Skeens is he's got to go tomorrow, right? Especially if they lose. But outside of that, do you think there's any motivation for LSU to really try to win and push this thing deep?
I kind of do because while it's unlikely, LSU I don't think is definitively confirmed as a top 8 seed. Like if they lose today with Thatcher Hurd and they somehow lose tomorrow, they go 0-2 in the SEC tournament, I think there's a small chance that they're outside the top 8. I don't think, like right now, I think it's very difficult for that to happen. But if they come out and they lose both games, then we're definitely talking about a possibility, a scenario where the Tigers are not hosting a super regional.
Yeah, you would have to have some pretty crazy things happen in the other regionals or other conference tournaments.
I agree, but just for the sake of argument, I think there is a small but possible path for that to happen. And, LSU hasn't played good baseball lately, so if nothing else, they need to play well because they have to continue momentum for the postseason.
Yeah.
And it looks like we have a question from SS7 Football. What's going on, man? What can we answer for you this morning? So while we're waiting on that for SS7, before we get into today's plays, let's not forget, if you play a ton of Prize Picks like the rest of us at Karma, you definitely want to sign up for access to the Prize Picks Predictor on this site. It includes AI, player prop projections that are for NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, college football, college basketball, WNBA, and more. Go to betkarma.com/JohnnyVTV to sign up right now. I just put out my prize pick. Got a couple power arms, strikeout kings going after it today, trying to hit 6 punchies a piece. Not going to tell you who it is because you have to go read it for yourself. But, Matt, let's get started here with one of the earlier games today. It's number 10 Oregon State Beavers against the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona gave a really good performance against ASU, who was a bubble team who now is looking like they're really in trouble to make the tournament. I think it's going to be Cam Walty for the Wildcats today, while Ben Ferrer is going for the Beavers. Do you find more value with the number 10 Oregon State Beavers, or do you think Arizona is an upset?
No, I like the Beavers. We've said for the last few weeks that we feel like it's not the College World Series without going through Corvallis. So this Beavers team, I mean, even though they haven't had a great season, they're still, I think, one of the premier Pac-12 schools, and the cream always rises to the top, especially this time of year. So I'd back the Beavers or stay away from it.
Yeah, the Beavers are on my card today. I don't buy Arizona. I haven't bought Arizona really all year. I have a lot of questions about this team. Cam Walty is throwing for Arizona. He's actually been pretty good this year for the most part. He's had a couple bad starts. He actually dotted Oregon State a few weeks ago, 7 shutout innings, a game that they lost. But I just think, the Beavers have a much better roster. I like Ben Ferrer. He's like not their true closer, but he's like their go-to pitcher almost. Like Ben Ferrer was a big reason why they made it as far as they did last season. I'm expecting him to go maybe 3 or 4 innings today, try and just get a little bit of length. But I think ultimately the offense is better for Oregon State, and at -130, that is the play that I will be going with as well. I think Oregon State is, it's a half-unit play for me, but I think the Beavers are the correct side here today.
See, here you go, talking me into another bet. I told you I didn't like a whole lot, but as the day goes on, I'll start adding stuff to the card.
We could talk you into a lot of different things.
You know who you couldn't talk me into? You couldn't talk me into not betting against Campbell last weekend, because I did, and they won.
Okay, you threw like $20 on it. You know what? Campbell still won.
Still won. They did. Lost the series, but SS7 Football said, how can we do 1.5 odds rollover daily without risk?
I would think that's only betting stuff that has no VIG. That's only plus money plays or even money plays, not rolling over anything with a VIG or minus odds, like nothing that's like -130, -140, so on and so forth, if I'm understanding the question correctly. Okay, so now we have our next game, Big 12 showdown, Kansas Jayhawks at the number 20 Texas Longhorns, who really catapulted themselves with a sweep of West Virginia. to go into a 3-way tie for the Big 12 regular season title. It was confirmed, and that's why we've seen a lot of steam on the Longhorns overnight, that Lucas Gordon, the ace of Texas, will be going today. We're not laying this number here, but Texas seems like a great parlay leg this afternoon. Who's the primary team that you would look to pair Texas with today?
I haven't seen a line yet on Clemson. I think that would be maybe one you would take. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a line with Alabama, Florida. It doesn't look like. Possibly UConn taking on Georgetown. They're the cream of the crop as far as Big East is concerned. And then maybe Stanford if they're throwing Quinn Matthews.
So last night I gave out a play that was the parlay for Texas and Stanford, because I'm not sure if Quinn Matthews is going to throw today or tomorrow for the Cardinal. But to me, it didn't really matter because Cal's
bad.
Cal's bad. Yeah. And it's, I don't feel great about laying 180 with Stanford unless Matthews is on the mound. But that's why I think putting them in a parlay with Texas would be a great 1-2 punch. You could get that around like plus 130, or maybe plus 115. I have to see the updated odds, but I think ultimately here that is probably one of my best plays in order to parlay two big favorites that should be throwing superstar lefty pitching.
You know who I kind of like is Northeastern. They're taking on William and Mary.
I don't know if I have a line for that.
I just checked. You don't have it on DraftKings.
Yeah, we don't.
Who would have thought a sportsbook in Arkansas would be better for college baseball? I
don't know. It's kind of weird though, isn't it? That all these obscure bets that you want to make are out there on Bets Harrison.
Yep. Which, I mean, Carlton Saffa, the CMO for Saracen, he's a big college baseball fan. They sponsor the Razorback baseball team. They've got their banner hanging out there at center field. So, I mean, I get it why they're more baseball based, because baseball in Arkansas is bigger than most other places.
Stanford's a little bit bigger on Barstool here at minus 210, but I think ultimately Stanford is the play here with Texas. We're going to get to that game in a little bit, but before we do, Matt, let's get to your Arkansas Razorbacks against the Texas A&M Aggies. It looks like I think A&M. I don't know. Are they going to be throwing Detmer today? I haven't seen an official pitching report on either team. You would know better for Arkansas than I would.
Just as long as it's not Wansing. He tore it up yesterday.
A career day.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was not awesome.
I don't know. I know Arkansas is – oh, yeah, you bet Tennessee. Sorry.
Yeah, I did. I did bet Tennessee. It wasn't awesome, to say the least.
Arkansas is throwing Cody Adcock. He is a midweek starter, middle reliever type. He's got probably a sub 5, but not great. Probably 4.5 ERA. I'm pulling it up right now, stalling. But ultimately, I don't feel like this game matters much to Dave Van Horn. I feel like it's all going to come down to tomorrow. Basically, the thing with SEC tournament, you want to play 3 games. So whether you go 1-0 and then you play the next 2, or you go 2-1 and you go home 1-2, the goal is 3. So you're getting your typical rotation going through there. So today it's Cody Adcock. This dude's got a 4.98 ERA. Tomorrow's Hagen Smith. So if we lose today, back to Hagen Smith double tomorrow.
I definitely like Arkansas tomorrow. But I mean, I like them today. They're on my card because
I saw that. I'm going to make you talk me into it.
I think Cody Adcock, he's a guy that has really good stuff, and he's somebody that was supposed to be a staple in this Arkansas Razorback team. But like Dave Van Horn, I just don't see him coming out trying to throw the first game of the SEC tournament. Like, I could see Arkansas really doesn't have much to play for at this point. They've kind of locked everything up, but at the same time, Dave Van Horn's, it's weird because look how bad they did last year. They were bad in the SEC tournament. They just fell flat to Alabama, making a ton of errors. And, it was almost by a miracle that they just turned it on once the regionals came. And I think here, Dave Van Horn understands the importance of playing well and closing out the season strong because you don't want to be kind of hobbling into the tournament. And I think, Arkansas is the better team. A&M does have some boppers, but if it wasn't for their best pitching performance of the season yesterday, their offense really didn't do much. Their offense could have scored 1 run and won because of how good that pitching was. They only put up 3 runs. So, I think Arkansas is definitely capable of getting after anybody that's pitching for Texas A&M.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is Texas A&M's playing pretty good baseball here lately.
I would agree with you.
I mean, with the injuries that Arkansas's had, I don't know. I'm going to tread lightly with it.
But Tavian Josenberger's playing, isn't he? Jared Wagner's playing. Brady Slavens. I mean, Peyton Stovall's done for the year. But
yeah, Stovall's done. Peyton Holt was banged up. Him, and that was the shift in the universe that I said on Twitter that I felt like the Oregon State College World Series when we dropped the foul ball. You just felt something bad go down. And whenever Peyton Holt, John Bolton ran into each other trying to catch that ball in the infield, that's when Vanderbilt came back. I think we had a 6-2 or 8-2 lead. I think it was 8-2. And Vandy came all the way back in the 8th. Horrible. It was, but
reminiscing about last week.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, God's toughest battles are making people an Arkansas Razorback fan. That's why I bought other teams' hats today, repping those USC Trojans. Andy Stankiewicz got them boys playing really good right now. I don't think they're playing today, but USC, I've got them plus 600 to win the Pac-12 tournament. And
that's
they are
interesting.
live.
I put Washington as a team that could win the Pac-12 tournament. I'm not huge on USC, but I mean they're playing good baseball. They're a team that could come out of nowhere and surprise you. But for me, the Pac-12 is kind of dicey. But for me, taking a long shot, it was going to be Washington. I've been on the Huskies all year.
The thing about it with Pac-12 tournament, the layout with the 3 pools is you basically just have to go 1-1 and you're in the semifinal. So with USC winning last night, unless somebody goes 2-0, which is going to be really hard in a 3-pod pool, I don't see how, but they're basically in the semifinals already. So there you go.
I mean, they still have to win it. I mean, let's see what my Huskies have to say about that later on today. Speaking of those Huskies, now flip to the favorite. They're playing the UCLA Bruins. Still, we don't have any pitching updates on this. I have absolutely no idea who's throwing. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the better team. Washington, I can narrow down who I think is pitching. It's probably going to be either Stu Fleslin or Kiefer Lord or Jared Engman. I would imagine they're going to throw one of their weekend guys today. But outside of that, their offense has been playing really well. They're getting a lot of contributions. UCLA, dude, they're not it. Matt, UCLA is not it at all. I don't buy this team. They're on the danger bubble of not even making the tournament at all. And, we talked about it all year that these different rankings had them in the top 25 and they had high odds. And we just didn't buy that because UCLA is not a good team. They lost a lot of pieces from last year. 2 of their best pitchers are gone. They lost Max Rajic in the draft. Thatcher Hurd transferred to LSU. So, we didn't buy UCLA. And, I think Washington has a real chance to win the Pac-12 tournament. And that would really go a long way by getting their first W today. They're barely a favorite right now. It's almost a pick 'em. And I think Washington's the right side here.
Yeah, UCLA is 76th in RPI. They've got a team FIP of 4.7. That's not very good. I would lean Washington as well. They're ranked 30th. That's tough, though. Pac-12 is so hit or miss. You may have a team that comes out playing like they could win it all, and then the next day they're getting run ruled.
So this is the interesting one because UCLA and Washington play today, but the Huskies draw USC tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
it's those three teams in that pod.
Yeah,
and they just pool. Basically, play each other.
But if Washington gets the win today, then it pretty much sets up as who's coming out of that pool between Washington and USC.
Yeah.
And, I would probably trust the Huskies starting pitchers a little bit more than USC.
Making a huge mistake.
Why?
Because USC didn't throw Caden Aoki or Strom. What? I always forget his name. Stromberger or whatever. That's their two guys that are like sub-3 ERAs.
But we have Kiefer Lord. We have Kiefer Lord, Stu Fleslin, and Jared Engman.
I don't think it's going to be.
So, all right, let me ask you. So, if Stu Fleslin goes today, and Kiefer Lord goes tomorrow against USC, I feel pretty good. With it Thursday being the Lord's Day, if Thursday's the Lord's Day, I don't know how I don't feel good about it.
He needs to go Wednesday because Wednesday is the Lord's Day. But I'm not buying this Washington Huskies team. I think you're high on life. What have you seen out of Washington that makes you so confident? Which you could ask me the same thing for USC. It's not like they're 40-win team.
Okay, so listen, I don't think Washington's a great team. That's why I didn't take a futures on them when they were 400-1, even though I kind of liked it and I thought it was interesting. I think they're an okay team, but I think in certain matchups, they have a lot of advantages because they have good pitchers. They have really good starters. They probably have the best rotation in the Pac-12. Starting rotation.
Washington
starting rotation. What?
USC. Washington swept USC in the regular season.
I know.
So I'll give you that.
Top to bottom, Washington probably has the best starting pitching rotation in this conference. I mean, with Kiefer Lord's on his game, Stu Fleslin's been good, Jared Engman, a couple guys out of the pen. I mean, it's the offense that really gives me a little bit of concerns. But, guys like AJ Guerrero, Will Simpson, Cam Clayton, they've come around lately. Washington has went on an absolute tear to end the year. Yeah, they lost to Cal. They had a bad series against Cal, and that's why they dropped out of the top 25. But the way they finished this year is the reason why they even made it into the top 25. They're playing really good baseball right now. So that's why I'm thinking if they could carry this over into the Pac-12 tournament, grab a couple wins, I like them at their price at 5-1 to win the Pac-12. I thought it was a fair number, considering that they're probably the second best team in the conference behind Stanford. And if Stanford had any sort of a trip up and Washington was there, I thought that was a worthy bet. And I think it was only a half unit play for me anyway. But nevertheless, I think Washington today is definitely the side. UCLA, they don't have Alonzo Treadwell anymore. He hurt his back. I don't know if they're going to start Jake Brooks today. That would be interesting because Brooks had his best start. What?
Brooks went yesterday.
Oh, he did go yesterday?
Yeah.
So if they're not throwing him, then, for me, it's a non-starter. I think Washington all the way today.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so
make me add another bet. Hey, real quick, I don't know if it's on your card or not, but Alabama, Florida, I've got a line here on Saracen. Saracen. Alabama -115, Florida -115. We got a coin flip, baby. Total of 11.5
today. Yeah, honestly, I figured it would be a coin flip today. Who's throwing? I feel like Bama would throw Luke Holman or McNary.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bama's throwing Holman. That's why I think Bama is probably the play.
Who's Florida
on
throwing?
Paper, I don't think they're going to go Sproat.
Well, I think they would go Waldrop if anything, because Waldrop.
That's who. Yeah,
Waldrop threw last Thursday.
Yeah, that's who Keith says is probably going.
Yeah, honestly, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Under
I'd have to,
under 11.5.
I'd have to know who's pitching for Florida before I make that call, because that matters. That makes a big difference. And because if this is a double limb, if Florida's just going to come in and say, all right, we're going to throw like Yoel Tejada, a weekend guy, or I'm sorry, a midweek guy, then I think Bama is the clear side.
Let me just call Florida baseball real quick.
Why don't you just get them on speed dial? Actually, also, speaking of Washington real quick, they're even money. They're actually the underdog, even money on Caesars, which I think is a mistake. So, that's why it's important to shop around. But while you're looking that up, Matt, I want to touch on this Texas Tech West Virginia game. This was a really good series a couple weeks ago. One where West Virginia, I believe, pulled it out. Mountaineers just got swept, dude. In a weekend where they just had to win one game and they would have took the Big 12 regular season tournament. Do you think West Virginia is on their way down and out, or you think it was just kind of a fluke thing against a hot Texas team and, they're coming ready to play against the Red Raiders?
No, I think I told you I liked Texas last weekend. They had a lot more to play for. Mm-hmm. And West Virginia, I can't buy into them yet. I haven't seen enough outside of J.J. Weatherholt and that one pitcher, Trexel. I just don't think they're a very solid team, and they're playing in a Big 12 that is weak as it is. So I can't back West Virginia today, but I probably don't want any part of taking Texas Tech either. They're not good outside of Lubbock.
Yeah, that was one of my concerns. I'm actually on West Virginia today at -110.
I figured you would be.
You know what? You know what it is?
You little Mountaineer loyalist.
I'm not a Mountaineer loyalist.
We've got our first Jack.
Who was it?
Braden Jobert with LSU just hit a 2-run homer in the second.
It's 2-0?
Yep. 2-0 LSU.
LSU's
up second, 2 outs. Yeah, not good for Eli Jones.
Nope, not good. I like West Virginia. I think coming off a sweep, they're going to lose 4 in a row. Texas Tech doesn't play well on the road either. They're kind of like Tennessee in that regard. And, I just think ultimately the Mountaineers, they slid 15 spots in the top 25 rankings. They're arguably not even going to be a host. I don't think they're going to be a top 8 seed now for a super regional host, which is kind of terrible considering the fact that they were on their way and, one bad weekend kind of ruined it. But I think West Virginia has a lot to play for right now. And, they can't let that bad taste, kind of stay with them. They have to get rid of it. They have to get back into the winning column. And I think they understand that. And that's why West Virginia, to me, is the side today.
You're not talking me into that one. I have to stick to my guns.
To each his own. That's my feeling.
But I'm not going to bet against you. So there's that.
Yeah, well, don't bet against me because I hate when you bet against me. I don't.
Hey, why is Clemson only -130? Did somebody? I don't know. That's odd to me.
Clemson's
it may be on your preview card.
It was. I took Clemson last night.
I can get them 130.
Where?
Bet that. Oakland. I'm checking Saracen.
Bro,
now.
People don't have this stuff. People can't bet in Arkansas books. You can.
I get it. However.
Do you? Do you understand that?
I'm not going to turn down a potential profiting day. I just won't give it out. But for my own bookkeeping purposes, I'm going to record it just like I did with Alabama yesterday.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds like fun. All right, so from one Big 12 to another, do you have any interest in this Oklahoma Sooners, Oklahoma State game? Is that the Red River rivalry? I don't know if that applies here, but Oklahoma State's taking a little bit of money. Do you think it's worth it with them?
No, I think Oklahoma State's dealing with some injuries. I'd rather do tax work than watch this game. Oklahoma State is probably going to win. They've got to, but I think they're missing like 2 or 3 key guys.
Yeah, they are. I think it might be Ben Abrams that they're missing, and the pitching for Oklahoma State really isn't that good. They have a couple offensive studs that's kind of been the driving force behind them this year. Rock Riggio, Nolan Schubart, and a couple other guys, but I just don't know pitching wise that it's the right move to bet this game. For me, it's a stay away. Oklahoma State probably wins because they are the better team. But I don't think I could get behind this game.
No, just don't bet what you don't know. If you've got too many question marks, and that's not for you, that's for everybody listening. Just stay away. The best bet that you make sometimes is the bet you don't.
That is true. That is true. A game that I don't have question marks about. The number 6 Clemson Tigers facing Virginia Tech. Clemson has just been on an absolute heater. They are the hottest team in college baseball. I gave them out last night at minus 130. They're already out to 145. I think I don't have any qualms here. Like, Virginia Tech played Wake Forest tough last week, and I kind of expected that. Virginia Tech was a top 10 team last year. They got gutted with the transfer portal, or not the transfer portal, the draft. They lost guys like Gavin Cross. That was a huge one. Griffin Green's gotten hurt this year. I think they were expecting a lot out of him. I just think Clemson's the right side. I don't think it matters who they're throwing. I don't think who Virginia Tech is throwing matters. I just think Clemson's finding ways to win, and they are the right side. And I think I'd probably play this out to like minus 155, minus 160.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there with me. Clemson is a very hot team. I'm not going to get in front of that train. It moved.
Not me.
I got him at 136, so I had to get that bet in.
We both put Clemson in at 6-1 to win the ACC. Just the way the pool's set up. I mean, I had Wake Forest preseason to win it all, to win the ACC at 4-1. As a 2-unit play. I think there was just, to me, there was nobody else that was taking down Wake Forest in that conference. Does that count, though? Does that count, or do they have to win the conference tournament too?
I think they have to win the conference tournament.
You sure? Because I honestly, I can't go back and reread it. I don't remember what it said. Maybe I glossed over that.
Yeah, the only one that I bet was Florida to win the regular season where it was specified. All the other ones on Oakland, they were including the conference tournament.
So I don't know if I read a specification or not.
So I've got Wake Forest to win ACC tournament included, plus 350.
Maybe. But either way, we have Clemson, Clemson's a good little hedge, if you will. Not really a hedge, but
that's why I bet several of these conference tournaments, because they kind of go against. Like, I had Maryland plus 200 to win the Big Ten. I also liked Iowa, so I threw a little bit on them just to kind of balance it out. Same with Clemson, with Wake, and then I bet Texas because I have TCU, which that's a loser.
Yeah, that's definitely a loser.
TCU just really fell off. It's bad when you peak the first weekend of the season. Good job, Horned Frogs.
It is.
You had an impressive showing at Arlington, College Baseball Showdown, and then you just shit the bed rest of the way.
Oh, this is a family program. This is a family program.
You're on it.
You
are R-rated. Hey, speaking of, who is this chick that you posted a picture with on Twitter? I got to ask you about that.
Who?
I don't know the girl. Who? Like, you post a picture with a girl every day.
Why are we talking about it now?
Just because I was curious. Rated R.
It's not rated R.
She's wearing like a see-through jumpsuit.
It's Lisa Ann. Lisa Ann's the homie. We work together at Better Sports Network. We went to Bounce a couple weeks ago. It was great. I haven't had that much fun in a while because I don't really go out anymore. I stay at home and watch college baseball because that's the only thing that
That's
brings
what
me
you
joy
do.
in life. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't go out anymore. I don't have
There you
Matt. I
go.
don't have family. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I get to stay home and watch college baseball on a Friday. Changes a little bit during the summer because I like to go to the beach and
You're probably the
but-
one guy that enjoys the rain delays in Hoover, so you get to stay up till 3 a.m. watching baseball.
No, I hate Hoover. We
You
need to. No.
I
we
know.
need to
I agree. They're talking about Globe Life, though. That should be fun.
I kind of like it. I like it. Like anywhere that doesn't have rain delays and that kind of thing, because that is what ruins college baseball.
And I love that in true SEC fashion, they're just like, yeah, Big 12, that's cute that y'all play there. Y'all can go to Houston. We're going to come there. Because now the Big 12 will have to go to Minute Maid.
They're going to bump them out?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, so here's one of the games that I'm actually most curious on. I don't have any idea who's pitching, and that's Auburn against Vanderbilt. So I'll say this, and because I can't put anything out because I don't know who's pitching. Auburn right now it's kind of annoying that they're looking as a team like that's going to host. Like I understand, they have like whatever 15 or 16 wins in the conference, but like we're talking about Auburn as a host. It's kind of annoying to me, like up there with Alabama, and like they keep trying to jam the Kentucky narrative down our throats. I'm getting so sick of it. But like that being said, Auburn is a really good price as an underdog today. And Vanderbilt is not a team that either of us really believed in coming into the year. And they proved us wrong. And then, they started falling off a little bit. So I think Auburn is a good play today if anybody not named Devin Futrell is throwing for Vanderbilt.
I 100% agree. I think Auburn, it kind of pains me to say it because I don't want to root for Auburn. But like as far as the SEC long shot, I really want to take a nibble on them to win it all because it's one of those teams that if they can get it figured out, their talent level is good. And I feel like it's always going to be an SEC team that's in the national championship. And if you can make it to Omaha and you're sitting on like a 80-1 ticket, and I don't know if that's what they are. I'm sure they're not that long of a shot. But I think you're going to be money ahead more times than not when you do that.
Auburn,
I wish you could bet. This is where I wish you could bet Alabama too, because I think Alabama's in the same boat.
Alabama is interesting. I personally still don't think. I think those two teams are hot, but I got to be honest. I don't think those two teams have enough to win it. I mean, they're going to be fun opportunities to bet throughout the tournament, assuming if you could even take Bama. But
would you agree that it's going to be an SEC team that wins it?
No.
You think Wake?
I like Wake Forest, dude. I think Wake Forest is a team that is, hopefully they don't get hurt with any bad draws, but I think Wake Forest is going to be a very tough team. We're going to get at least one of these mid-major teams that come. One of these teams that we're going to get one of these teams that people don't expect. Like one of those, this is the year we're going to get that team that nobody really expects to make a deep run. We're going to get a Coastal, or we're going to get a Campbell, or we're going to get maybe even like a Dallas Baptist. We're going to get one of those mid-major programs that makes the Final Eight that, has been really good all year, that we've been talking about, that is capable of pulling off something of this magnitude. Which one it is, I don't know. It really all depends on matchups.
I would agree. My only hesitation with that is just the strength of their schedule. I feel like when they get placed with a Power 5 school that's got a solid rotation and bats. I mean, you look at the bats of like LSU and Florida. I don't know. I mean, I know Coastal can score in a hurry. I don't see them contending with those guys, though.
I don't know, though. Like, listen, Florida's got a bad habit. As good as Florida is and as talented and deep as they are, they have a really bad habit of playing down to their competition
Yeah.
And their pitchers are way too inconsistent for an elite program.
They've got a blow it gene in their
They have
in
a
their
blow it
program.
gene. Their bullpen definitely has a blow it gene. Their starting pitchers just one day could come out and no show. Look at Brandon Sproat the other day. Like Brandon Sproat has the blow up gene. Hurston Waldrop has the blow up gene. Cags has the blow up gene. All of their pitchers have this thing in them where they could just come out and just blow up one start. And that's all it takes. That's really all it takes. If you pick the wrong day to blow up in a regional or a super regional, that could be the difference, because what happens is when you lose the first or the second game of a regional or super regional, the path to having to win becomes so much more difficult because it ends up being double elimination. So if you lose the first game of a regional or a super regional, you have to pretty much come back and win like 4 games in a row in order to take it, the regional or the super regional. It's very difficult to do. And for a team like Florida, who, like, let's call it what it is, they don't have reliable pitching, especially in the bullpen, that can be a tall task. So depending on how you stack up wins, that really a lot of times comes down to who ends up advancing, because it is very difficult to string together 3 or 4 wins in this tournament. That's just how it is.
So we're in consensus. Back to the pick. Auburn. Take the plus money with Auburn
assuming
today.
Assuming Devin Futrell isn't throwing for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could see today Vanderbilt coming out and throwing like a Bryce Cunningham.
Yeah,
I could see Cunningham coming out today for Vandy.
The trend of these top 4 seeds in the SEC tournament is not start your starter today. Keep him on that normal rest of Thursday. But
the thing
Devin
about
Futrell
Vanderbilt
wasn't their typical starter, so I don't know. He would be going on what, 5 days rest, because he threw Friday.
Well, I don't know though, because Carter Holton
Arkansas.
hasn't really been throwing either. Carter Holton's been hurt, but like
either way, I think this is a must win for Auburn, and I think it's a throwaway game for Vanderbilt.
I agree. So I think
that's enough for me to pull the trigger on Auburn.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about the same thing from like A&M and Arkansas's perspective. But I think
prove to be Texas A&M would be the team to bet.
You think?
I do. I mean,
you think A&M's going to be the team to bet over Arkansas?
If you're going by the theory that we just discussed with Auburn.
It doesn't mean both are going to win, though. And Arkansas is a better team than Vanderbilt, even though Vanderbilt won the series. I think we would both agree that Arkansas is the better team.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they outscored them still.
Arkansas has more ways to win, in my opinion, than Vanderbilt. Like, I don't. I think Auburn's such a tough team because like they just get production from so many different sources. Like, I mean, I think we're both in agreement that they lost Sonny DiChiara last year, and they didn't have really many avenues to score a lot of runs. But they've gotten a lot of production from guys like Ike Irish, Bobby Pierce. Some of those guys have really stepped up this year, and their pitching has been pretty solid to the point where like it's kept them in ball games. I think Auburn, if we're going to get an upset today between those two teams, I think it would probably be Auburn instead of A&M, but that's just me. It really depends who Vanderbilt's throwing.
Here's what you can do. You can parlay Texas A&M and Auburn at plus 425.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you hit the first leg with Arkansas losing to A&M, like I feel like they're probably going to do, you can always hedge out and bet Vandy if Futrell's pitching, which I don't think you will. But 425, that's a good theory. I mean, lock in that profit because it's either going to be an upset day of the big seeds or it's not. Which that sounds stupid now that I said it out loud.
Yeah, it sounds pretty stupid.
But if you exploit that theory, although LSU may put it to bed pretty early because they didn't start their starter and they're up 2-0 with a runner on.
Still early.
It is.
Braden Joubert just absolutely pummeled that. Yeah.
So what else is on the card?
LSU's a tough team for me to figure out, though. They're a tough team because it's like they're so capable of coming out flat, but they're still a great team, overall.
Oh, for sure. And then on paper, you look at them and you think, my God, how does this team ever lose? Like looking at Dylan Cruz's stat line, Jared Jones, Tommy White, Trey Morgan, like, are you kidding me? But they do. They lose.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if South Carolina can keep this game close going into the later innings, it's the same theory. Like LSU is always a threat to just completely implode in the bullpen.
So that's Q and I were texting this morning because he was like, why do I feel like LSU is just finally going to shut everybody up and come out and perform? I was like, yeah, I have that exact same feeling. So it's ultimately why I couldn't bet South Carolina today. I just feel like LSU has heard that for the last 2 months now. Oh, your bullpen's terrible. Your bullpen's terrible. They always blow games. They're not going to make it.
But they haven't played well.
Blow games.
But they haven't played well.
And then they're going to show up and, Trey Morgan just took off like it was a ball and the ump called a strike. I bet umps hate that. Like when the batter just condescendingly is like, yep, I'm gone, throws
I think
his wrist guard and stuff.
All right, so last one here. I mean, we haven't found anything, but like Stanford, we talked about being in a parlay. They're going against Cal. To me, it doesn't really matter who they're throwing because I like Stanford either way. But if it's not Quinn Matthews, would you still lay 180 with this, or are you just throwing it in a parlay?
Yeah, I would parlay it. I don't. Stanford's a tough team to bet straight up because they're always a big favorite, and I don't feel like it's justified in the Pac-12. There's too much parity, and not good parity. Everybody just sucks in the Pac-12. Everybody is capable of losing 20. I mean, Arizona lost to Stanford in that last game of their series 21-20. Stanford had to beat Santa Clara 20-17. I mean, I can't back a team that is playing games like that at minus 180. You kidding me?
I agree with you. I don't think Quinn Matthews is the only way that I would lay this.
Yes.
I don't think otherwise I would be comfortable enough to lay such a big number with this. I mean, the problem, it's really hard in these tournaments to kind of get inside the head of like what a team is going to do, what a coach is going to do, because especially in the case of like, an Arkansas or an LSU or an Vanderbilt, teams that don't have to win today. Like, you're not playing to lose, but like they could also be okay with losing one game, which means that by doing so, they're not going to throw one of their best starters. That's like where it's like a cat and mouse game. It's not always as simple as which team is better. Some of these teams, they'll play for a series, which means like, okay, we're not going to play to go all out for this game. So if we lose, we don't really care. And that's like where the art is. So that's where something like me picking Arkansas today might come back to bite me. So that's really where the difficulty in trying to handicap this whole thing is, because it's not like the MLB. It's much different.
It's just like handicapping a midweek. You've got to figure out what team is more motivated to win. And let me tell you something. You got me started now with looking at Stanford, and it just pisses me off. Stanford jumped Arkansas in the polls. They're number 3. Stanford has not played a team in the RPI top 25. Like, are you kidding me? Arkansas has the most wins of any team in the RPI top 25 with 14. 14-6 against RPI top 25 teams. That's 20 games to Stanford's 0. Explain it to me. Make it make sense,
I know you
Johnny.
get so hurt about Stanford and Arkansas.
Arkansas has the better record. They have the better RPI. They have a stronger strength of schedule. They play in a better conference. And they have played 20 RPI top 25 teams.
Oh boy. This is what I have to deal with, by the way.
This is it just doesn't make any sense.
Listen, I agree with you. We literally say this every single week about Stanford.
Call me and make it make sense.
We talk about this every single week about Stanford not being that good. And it's funny. Somebody actually tweeted at Kendall Rogers, be like, dude, I don't understand your Stanford. Like, they're not proven. He goes, yeah, a team like Stanford's not proven. Like, but he said it sarcastically. And I'm like, dude, they're not. Like, they don't have any quality wins. I think they split with USC. Like, they're not a team that is legit. Like, they have a lot of studs. They have a first-round talent with Tommy Troy. They have a lot of
shows up sometimes.
Yeah, I personally don't get it either, but yeah, I don't. It doesn't really make sense.
There's my beef.
Do you have any other games that you're looking at of interest today that we didn't touch on?
If some lines will start coming out on these.
Any totals? Are you curious at any totals today?
Yeah,
I feel like
I've got a
lot
couple.
of high totals.
I've got a couple.
That Stanford,
I think I'm going to pull.
I
think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger on Alabama.
I don't have Alabama
with Holman. Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't want to say it.
So apparently, what do you think about Georgetown? So apparently they're going to throw their Friday guy today, who's a stud. Any interest in Georgetown?
Let me see. Hang on, because they're playing UConn, aren't they?
I believe so.
Jeff Dawson, big UConn guy. I always give my UConn report. So I've watched this team a lot. Do you know who UConn's pitching?
I don't. I'm trying to find out. I have a. I'm talking to somebody right now to see who they're throwing, possibly. But I think
who'd you say is going for Georgetown?
Their Friday guy, their best guy, apparently.
Does he have a name? Do you remember it?
I'm trying to find it out. So if you could give me a minute. Let's see.
The guy that has the most starts, you've got Jake Bloss. He's got a 2.67 ERA. I wonder if that's it.
He's up to like 96, I think. So whichever. I mean, I don't know though. UConn. We're not that impressed with UConn.
No, I said they're a Fugazi.
It's weird though, because like UConn is clearly not as good as they were last year, mainly because they lost all their starting pitchers. Like all three of their starters, they don't have anymore.
However, they play in the Big East. They can't do anything about that.
I think it's probably
they still have more wins in the RPI top 25 than Stanford.
They do. I think it's this kid Jake Bloss.
Okay, so Jake Bloss, like I said, 2.67 ERA, solid numbers. 29 and 25 on the season though. This Georgetown team.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Do you want to back a team that is 29 and 25?
Why does it matter? Good. This guy Jake Bloss has been pretty good. I mean, listen, this is betting, dude. You pick and choose your chances. Like, these big upsets happen. So it's about picking and choosing your moments. Like, I personally,
but he's 7-4, so it's not like he's winning every game. And I'm saying he plays bad competition. When he played against UConn, I just want to justify the bet rather than just throwing it out there.
I totally get it. I mean, you're throwing your best guy against UConn. Like you're playing to win today. Like they're clearly playing to win this afternoon. So I think ultimately, you know, it would be something that's interesting. I'm probably going to stay away from it just because, like, I'm not really a fan of betting those smaller programs, you know, that aren't really baseball schools. It's flipping a coin, but I think it's definitely interesting.
You talked yourself out of it before I could even pull up what I was trying to get to.
Well,
okay,
why don't you ready?
In the Georgetown UConn regular season series, Game 3 was taken by Georgetown 6-2. Guess who pitched for Georgetown? Jake Bloss.
That's good.
So, UConn only scored 1 run through 6 innings in that game. You know how long Jake Bloss went?
6 innings?
Yes. So there's your justification for the bet. Go bet it. We're going to fade the UConn Huskies once again.
I think it's a solid long shot today, to be honest. I mean, we did the research on it. The kid's good. He hits 96, 97. He's had a good year. He had success against UConn in his last start. And the Hoyas are clearly playing to win today.
This is hilarious. Do you know the book, the discrepancy in this? All right. Are you ready? UConn is what at DraftKings? Or Georgetown, I'm sorry. Plus 210? Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. So I'm looking at it. Georgetown, DraftKings, plus 210. Georgetown, Bet Saracen, plus 190. Georgetown, Oaklawn, plus 240. Always get the best number.
Yeah, but we don't live in Arkansas, so we can't get that best number. I'm actually in Connecticut right now, so I can't even get the number. That sucks.
I don't even know what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, me neither. That makes 2 of us. But Matt, before we get out of here, anything else that was of interest to you?
No, quit making me spend money. You just keep making me place bets that I don't want to bet. Hell, I said I had a small card yesterday. I had 3 plays, ended up with 6, but I went 5-1. Today, I liked one thing, and I think leaving the show now, I'm up to another 5 or 6 bets. So, thanks a lot, Johnny.
You got it, man.
Bet responsibly. Always bet within your means. 1 unit play, $100. Half unit, $50 for me. So, those of you who think like, oh, this guy probably bets a lot, I don't. I mean, $100 is maybe a lot to some people. Just don't get crazy. A guy messaged me and was like, I want to put $300 down on this long shot that I gave out. It's like, don't. I mean, unless you're following every single bet and you're betting it consistently at the same amount, that's irresponsible.
Unless you got it like that.
But, I mean, don't bet, 5 games at $100 a piece and then decide you're going to get crazy and bet $500 on 1 game. That's
totally got it.
When the fun stops.
But, well, Matt, really appreciate you taking the time, and let's look to get another show in this week. We have a lot of good college baseball coming up. Don't forget to follow Matt at Grissom Tweets, and he's also at College Baseball Insiders at NCAA Insiders. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at _JohnnyVTV. Best of luck this weekend. Keep your eyes peeled for our tweets. We're going to be giving a lot of plays, possibly last second, and just a little bit of reasoning of why, depending on line movements and pitching and everything like that. So really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see you next week.
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. that like Kenny. Still got crack, they fiend.